Hello, everybody. Welcome to the JD Theory Podcast. Today, we enter the first episode of NWA 77, NWA's biggest event of the year, and it's a start to the new season. We're now on season 25, episode 1, New York Minute. Now, join me as we go through this episode front to back, discuss what I like, what I dislike, and everything in between. Also, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Without further ado, let's get right into the show. We start out NWA 77 with Rich Swann versus Alex Taylor. Now, before we even get into the match, new intro to the season. Thank you, Mr. Billy Corgan, and the rest of the Smashing Pumpkins. And from the walk-in, I'm very excited because Rich Swann, he's had an amazing performance on Powerrr about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Now, the Southern Six walks out with Taylor at ringside. Luckily, they would not be too much of a distraction, if at all. If I remember, I don't think they did anything at ringside. Lucky enough for us, we got a clean bout. And also, I noticed this was in the Paramount in Huntington. I could have caught this in person, but because Powerrr is taped, by the time I realized NWA 77 was coming up, it had already been a live event. So, of course, I can't go to something that already happened, but yeah, man, this was close enough. I could have seen this if I wanted to, but wasn't meant to be. Hope they're back next year in New York. Rich Swann, this guy is so ridiculously athletic. There's one point he goes from a cannonball from the top of the ropes to a straight dive through the ropes. He's electric. The commentators are saying, this guy just drank a whole pound of coffee. Pound of coffee? It's a liquid. Whatever. Yeah, these two, very fun in-ring dynamic. Taylor is looking to slow the pace with his big strikes and power moves. Swann keeps trying to speed it up to gain momentum. And anytime Swann gets a sequence of moves put together, it's art, man. Great sequence that ended with Swann running up Taylor's back, jumping over him, then giving him like a horse kick in the air. It was freaking sweet, man. This guy Rich Swann, I gotta look at what he was doing before he arrived in NWA, because he pretty much just got here. Yeah, so Swann would almost walk away new champ with a frog splash and then a cover. Got a 2 count. Then he goes for a 450 splash to cover. Alex Taylor does the spot with the one finger on the rope to break the count. I thought this was funny because I think we saw somebody do this at Wrestle Dream in AEW just not, what was that, over the weekend? But, of course, this is taped. This happened well before Wrestle Dream. I just thought that was funny, seeing that, because it is unique. And I think it's funny, they probably both thought of it around the same time. Taylor, he would get Swann with a rope shot to the nuts. So even though there was no interference by the Southern Six, Taylor would have some shenanigans. But, a rope shot to the nuts, I'll take it, man. I'll take it. As long as nobody's jumping in the ring, right? Because there is a match later, which is full-on wild. And after he gets the shot to the nuts, Taylor would hit the green whistle. It's a fun, explosive match to start the show. And Alex Taylor retains as junior heavyweight champion, which I believe I forgot to mention at the start of the video, which is fine. But yeah, Alex Taylor, still your junior heavyweight champion. Doing great work, man. Everybody in the Southern Six is doing some of the best work in NWA right now, and it's exciting to watch. Kerry Morton, Silent Mason, and Alex Taylor. Great stuff. So yeah, what did this match accomplish? We're building the Southern Six as the definitive heel group in NWA. And of course, not this episode. It'll probably be in 2 or 3 episodes because we are building. This is going to be a few episodes, NWA 77. I cannot wait to see that main event between Thrill Billy and Tom Latimer. I want to see Thrill Billy walk away as champion. That's what I want to see. I don't know what's going to happen. If they make Tom win, I wouldn't be surprised. He's a great champion, extremely versatile superstar. But man, I'm excited for that match. Then next, we got Primo and Epico, the Colognes, doing a little promo. They acknowledge their loss at the Crockett Cup. And we haven't seen them since the Crockett Cup. They show up for the big events only. And they're coming back for tag team contendership. Then we cut to the boardwalk. Mondo calls out Big Mims. Mike Mondo wants that belt. I wonder if they're going to keep Slade in the picture, or is Mondo and Slade, was that just done for the Crockett Cup? Are they going to get separated again? Aaron Stevens calls out the Holy Grail with Carson Drake. And the Slime Balls, for whatever reason, are in Aaron Stevens' corner. And this would be a little hint at what would happen later in the night, because they'll help deal with PB Smooth. So, next week, we have Aaron Stevens and Carson Drake versus EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth, the Holy Grail. At least that's what they said. I don't know. How does that work with the flow of the show? We'll get into that in a little bit. Actually, it works. But it kind of hinted at something. But either way, next match we got, we set up a couple things there. We have Nightmare Sin, Blunt Force Trauma, the Colognes, and the Slime Balls in a 4-way elimination tag team match for number 1 contendership to the championship. Winners face Knox and Murdoch or the Immortals, depending on the match's results later in NWA 77. Now, this was the match I was hinting at when we're talking about full-blown shenanigans here, man. I mean, this is pretty much Aaron Stevens versus the tag team roster. Yeah, Nightmare Sin would get eliminated super quick because Aaron Stevens' manager shenanigans. It leads to them getting rolled up, leaving us with the Slime Balls, BFT, and the Colognes really quickly. And right after this, I kid you not, we get an elimination, and then it cuts right to a promo mid-match. Which this episode, I will say, I do think it was a little problematic. Not the amount of promos, but the placement of the promos. Because, we jump to Brian Idol calling out Joe Acasio, which would be the main event of tonight. And he's calling him out as his next opponent in the Lucky 7. As you know, NWA, with a lower title, you win 7 matches. You could use that title for a shot at the world title. So that's what's going on here. He calls out Joe Acasio, the Long Island landmine, baby. And we cut back to the match. Aaron Stevens, he loads up his glove, knocks out his own team that he brought in, Blunt Force Trauma, giving the pin to the Slime Balls. This was wicked. It was kind of hinted at their alliance in the backstage, but I didn't think that meant the BFTs were going to be crossed. So, yeah, we end up with a 1v1 tag match pretty quickly. So it's the Slime Balls versus the Colognes. I'll admire the pacing, man. I mean, they're not wasting any time. They said, let's get this show moving. Yeah, and once we do get to this 1v1 scenario, the match would significantly pick up. We got Tommy Rand. He spits right in the face of Primo. This made me laugh out loud. And, the momentum, it would go the other way. I keep stuttering. Jesus Christ. Take a breath, man. It's too early in the morning. I'm recording this at 8:20 a.m. Yeah. Got to do this pre-work. Momentum starts to go the other way. When we get Epico hitting Sage with backbreakers, the Colognes would beat up Sage as we hope for a hot tag to Tommy. and Sage would get a hilarious biting spot. Yeah, and this would be the catalyst to him getting to Tommy. Crowd pops huge for Tommy Rand coming in hot. And the Slimes actually hit the Snot Rocket, their signature tag team move. Primo breaks it up. And afterwards, Primo and Tommy would fly out of the ring. Aaron Stevens would try to get involved again for the third time. So he was the cause of pretty much every team's elimination in this match. But Sage actually gets launched into him, and he catches a mean backbreaker. The 1, 2, 3, Colognes are your number one contenders for the NWA Tag Team Champion. So, Aaron Stevens got blunt force trauma and Nightmare Sin eliminated, and then his own team eliminated, essentially. But yeah, the Colognes are in. They were finalists in the Crockett Cup. They fought the Immortals in the finals, which is why the Immortals are facing Knox and Murdoch at this event. I wish they touched upon that on Powerrr leading up to it, because while we did spend a lot of time in that hilarious rivalry with Eric Smalls and Knox and Murdoch, I would have liked to see acknowledgement of the Immortals, because when they announced the match, I was like, that makes perfect sense. Right? The Crockett Cup winners face the Tag Team Championship. But they just never made it clear in the episodes. Then we get to some promos. Tom Latimer talks about slaying the monster El Dragon Nihon last week, which was a very, very good match for just what it was, toppling a giant man. It was very classic, man. If you're a fan of 70s, 80s wrestling, more early 80s, it's very reminiscent of something of that ilk, right? Tom Latimer also calls out Thrill Billy. He's ready, baby. Bring it on. Then we would get a recap of Pope getting attacked by Mondo and Slade 3 weeks ago after his big win and re-debut in the NWA against Big Mims, right? We would cut to an in-ring promo about Pope. We learn that Pope will not be able to compete against Big Mims after Mondo and Slade's attack. He is not medically cleared, but he calls out Mondo and Slade, saying they'll get what they asked for. Also calls out Mims because he plans on coming right back for that belt when he's ready. Now, I don't know if Pope is actually injured or if this is a plot line. If he is actually injured, that really sucks. He had a big, hot debut, or comeback. I should say comeback. He had a big comeback. He beat the champion. And it seemed like the original plan was, we do that match again for the title. Because he didn't earn a title shot. He just had come back and won. But yeah, we thought we were going to get that title run back. I guess we'll see what ends up happening, right? We cut to the Page household. We get the Page family, their perspective on their beef with Joe Kazana. And we get this line, this isn't a feud, this isn't a rivalry, it's a war. Cold line from Tommy Henry, I believe. And we're also reminded Kenzie will be defending against Natalia Markarov, the Women's NWA Championship, later in NWA 77, and she catches Kylie and Hunter getting flirty by the pool. Ooh, can't trust her fiance or her sister. Little bit of family drama going on. That's what you love to see. All right. Next, we get to some Joe Ocasio versus Brian Idol. This would be the main event of this night. And goddamn, this was a match for sure. The NWA Television Championship is on the line. Brian Idol looking to get 7 wins under his belt to advance to a world title. You know how it goes. Lucky 7. We start off with a submission exchange from Idol. Then Ocasio, very classic technical wrestling. Ocasio would take the early lead with his hard-hitting, physical in-ring style. Also lands a devastating knee to the face. Commentary sells it too. They're like, oh, this is the end of the match already. Idol, he keeps staying in the game with very slick movement, being able to weasel out of some things. We get a great exchange of power moves till Idol spears Ocasio through the ropes, and they both spill out of the ring. Up to this point, this match was super exciting, but we would... Okay, here's my problem with the promos. We would cut to, like, 3 different promos in the middle of this match. Now, it's assumed, because I don't know what happened, because they're back in the ring by the time it cuts back. But I know they probably did a long count outside of the ring. But yeah, I would have loved to see this match with less in between, right? Because we cut back to the match with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the show. And, yeah, besides that gripe, we cut to the Holy Grail, Pastor CeeLo, EC3, Pretty Boy Smooth. They're getting their digs in on Carson Drake and Aaron Stevens. I'm excited for that. I don't know who's going to win. We haven't seen EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth since the Crockett Cup. But I'd like to see them get a win. Hammerstone also acknowledges Thrill Billy's dirty win over him in his NWA debut, which was maybe 3-4 weeks ago. And since Kerry Morton was part of that distraction, that's why Hammerstone wants to face him next. We're going to get that next week on Power. Tiffany Nieves also calls out Serena, I believe, and then she bumps into this fan named Greta. This was a very weird. This was a very weird promo. The La Princesa, Tiffany Nieves. She bumps into this fan, quote unquote, and she's just like, "Wow, you're so amazing. Thank you, Greta. Oh my goodness." And I don't know. It was just very strange, and we're kind of hinted at Greta being a future helper of La Princesa, because this is a big girl. She's probably going to enter the ring. She might play a bodyguard role and then start messing people up. That's what I think we were meant to interpret from that. I don't know. That was a little weird. But after all that, we do find ourselves back to the main event match. They laid on the promos pretty thick there. But yeah, we get Ocasio. He lands a brutal flying headbutt to Idol, still managing to kick out. They both look really strong in this match. And Idol almost wins with a springboard moonsault. Now, this match, up to this point, extremely back and forth. Brian Idol, he would in fact retain. He would end the match with a kill switch with a little extra spin on that bad boy. All in all, great match, great defense. I think this is the third match in Brian Idol's out of 7 to cash in on a world title. So yeah, overall, first night to 77. Say pretty good. I think the Alex Taylor Rich Swann, the opening bout, might have been my favorite. Just really explosive. I think I'm a fan of Rich Swann. Is in ring specifically. Some of his dancing stuff is a little silly, man. I'm like, come on, dude. But in ring, he is one of the best performers NWA has right now. Yeah, shout out Rich Swann. The Slime Balls, it was great to see them back. I don't think we've seen them since the Crockett Cup, but they are always extremely entertaining. Tommy Rant specifically, well, and Sage as a slippery fella, but Tommy Rant looks considerably improved since the last time we seen him. Remember, he hit like a running senton at one point where I was like, damn, I'm getting a little Fatu out of you. Yeah, so Slime Balls, love them. Yeah, man, I'm excited for some of these later matches. Hammerstone versus Kerry Morton, Tom Latimer versus Thrill Billy. We got some good stuff coming up. Probably Mondo versus Mims, right? That's probably going to be the fill-in match for Pope because we had Mondo take Pope off TV anyway. What's going to happen with Slade? I don't know. Do I think... I think we could take the title off Kenzie Page, too. I think we could have Markova win that match whenever that ends up happening on the card. That's going to be exciting. Maybe you could have a sister feud, Kylie and Kenzie, a little family drama, and we get the title moving somewhere else. And yeah, as for Brian Idol, he's just building his wins. Next episode, I believe we're going to continue this momentum. I expect a even better episode next week because some of the matches coming up are some of the best matches, you know? But yeah, NWA 77, we're here. This show looked great. Production value is up. The Huntington is a great little stadium, arena, whatever you want to call it. It's nice. I'm enjoying. Gonna keep covering Powerrr, of course. You know, we just did the Monday Night Raw episode. It should have come out on Tuesday. Then Wednesday, I think we had the... Oh, wait, no. Monday Night Raw came out Wednesday. The episode for it. Then Thursday, today, as I'm recording this, what's coming out? The Classic Rock Bracket is coming out. Then on Friday, this will come out. So hold your horses, all right? I'm going to be right with you, even though you can't even hear me right now. Yeah, Friday we drop this. Then I think we do the Attitude Era bracket. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be an exciting one. Man, the amount of research I've been doing to make sure that that bracket is super coherent and informational on every superstar of that era. Stay tuned for that, because I'm putting in the work for it, all right? But yeah, thank you for watching. Keep watching NWA Powerrr with me, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.